Hi, I'm Paul Duchesne. Today is Saturday, November the 21st, 2020. Welcome to Mama Paul's video podcast. And I'd like to open with a little poem I wrote about 2 weeks ago. It's short and pithy and pretty easy to grok. It's called He Won and You Lost. Goodbye, Donald, goodbye. For years we've been forced to abide by every little tweet in your psychopathic mind. But we don't care anymore. There's 2 more months to go, but you will go, and a fair adieu. And to your family, too. Just goodbye to you, the whole bunch of you. Goodbye, Donald. Goodbye. Well, that was it. That was a little poem, and it sort of poured out about the day after the election, after November 3rd, when we thought that, we didn't know anything after November 3rd, actually. I think I wrote this probably Saturday after the pre-New Year's Eve celebration started, when it was obvious that Biden actually was the new president-elect and Trump had lost. And that's when I was woken up that day to drums beating, people dancing in the street. It was the first time I was woken up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and glad to be woken up. What's happening? Hold on a second here. Who's this now? Okay. Yeah, hi, Paul here. Yeah, who's calling? Is that you on your way out? I see. Yeah, we got a little picture of you there on your way out. That was the Time magazine cover. I'm not sure if it actually made it to the official version. You came out the other day, first time in over a week? You made a little press conference? Yeah, you looked a little stooped over. Are things sort of getting you down a little bit? I mean, I don't want to be pushy, but, maybe you need to check with, Dr. Feelgood and see how you're still doing. This might be affecting you. It is affecting you. Uh-huh. Well, like I said, is anything dripping out of your hair? No, nothing's dripping out of your hair. Now, your buddy, I saw that the other day. Listen, you lost a whole bunch of your high-priced lawyers after Rudy did the Four Seasons thing. You thought he was going to get the Four Seasons on Park Avenue also. Yeah, I think everybody did. What's with this guy now? He wants $22,000 a day from you? But back in the spring, he was working for nothing. Oh, Igor paid him to get access to you. So you save money like that. So you save money with a lot of people like that. So you don't pay them. They get access. So the other people pay. I got it. It's a little confusing, a little convoluted, but the law firms, well, we know you haven't paid a few of your law firms. We know that. And is it the same thing? Are some of their clients getting access to you, so therefore they don't have to, okay, well, you don't think he's going to get the $22,000 a day, though? No, I don't think so either, no. Listen, how's the coup going? Yeah, well, Pennsylvania, I know you lost Pennsylvania today. That's the latest update, probably 2 hours ago now. They confirmed. And Michigan, you okay, well, they flipped Detroit. Yeah, no, they didn't go along with you in Detroit. So there is one elector. If you can lean on him, you're going to lean into him a little bit, and he could stop the certification. Won't they go to court? Okay, well, listen, all of this stuff about the coup and everything, this is beyond me. What's really got me, not beyond you. Well, I can see. Well, you got to be tied up with something. You certainly. Well, you missed the virus conference today. Well, you were golfing, weren't you? Okay. Well, you've got two big groups in back of you now, don't you? Well, what about the QAnon people? Is QAnon Queers Anonymous? No. Oh, I'm politically incorrect saying Queers Anonymous. Well, who are these people? Well, I know what queer means. Yeah, queer means odd, strange, peculiar, something's queer. It's odd, it's strange, or it could be peculiar. Something like sort of like an anti-Christian Christian, or a peace-loving Christian carrying an AK-47. That would be there. Or how odd is it for somebody who's sort of down on poor people to be into prosperity, a prosperity congregation? Send me money. Jesus didn't exactly ask for a lot of money from people, but these guys, that's all they do. I'm thinking, no, seriously, I'm thinking that the QAnon are really, they're definitely anonymous. Yeah, who knows if they're gay, bi folks? That's an LGBTQ group now. They don't even use it. Well, back in the '60s, it was. No, I remember it very clearly. Yeah, for sure. They said it all the time. We're here, we're queer, and we're not going anywhere. Yeah, there were big signs up all over the place. It was a popular word. They took the derogatory word, they used it themselves, and then it became not so derogatory. So now nobody says it anymore. I said it. I'll say a lot of things that people won't say, but I said it. I like the Queer as Anonymous, and I think I'm going to go with that. And let's just say that they're odd, because everything. It's not sexual, no. But who knows what they are? It's a bunch of mostly a bunch of gun-toting guys out there. They're probably these. I know these kind of guys. Yeah, they don't think it's. If a guy is on top, it doesn't matter what's underneath him. He's not gay. He's not queer. Anything under him doesn't matter. I know prisoners, soldiers, the whole crew of them. Anyway, listen, the picture of you up there, I like the picture. I really do. But I think there was a better one last week also. But that one was good. But that's the one I really like. That's the one that was the I would have gone for that for the cover for Time magazine. I think that was the better choice. Okay, listen, I want to talk about a couple of things about this your spiritual heritage, and I am just blown out by somebody on television said last night. They said that you were the rightful heir to the seventh kingdom. Is that true? You don't know what it is. I used to make years ago I made a seventh heaven bread, and there's a hierarchy of. Okay, the words are getting too big. Let's forget the whole thing. I'll tell you what. Hang on for another week. We've got till when? December the 10th, when the official certification. So about that time, they're probably going to be putting you in a straitjacket or something, just to get you off the scene. Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they're going to have to bring the army in to take you out, but you're not going to be able to stop it. We are not a dead democracy yet. We are almost dead, but not quite. We are going to try to take care of this thing. All right. Take care, Donald. Maybe next week, maybe not. You got to stop calling, because it's just getting to be too much with you. Somebody else, some other, maybe the devil directly will call in next time. Yeah, you guys seem to be on pretty good terms. Okay, take care, kiddo. All right, and remember what they said in New York. Don't come back. Yeah, they don't love you anymore. Okay, all right. Don't yell. That's right. They just don't love you anymore. Okay, goodbye, Donald. Bye. Wow, the guy can't stop calling in. I'll tell you, there's one thing about him that really is absolutely got me blown out of my socks. And I was sitting talking with a couple of women came in last week where I work, and it was her birthday. It was this 80-year-old woman's birthday, and her two girlfriends were with her. And we're talking about things currently, and I don't know exactly where they're at politically, so I could hear a little bit of religiosity coming out of them. So I threw in a statement about predictions and about the apocalyptic predictions. I've been following this kind of stuff for a long time. I sort of mix a lot of the predictions and prophecies together. Anyway, this woman was very focused on the Christian predictions, and she comes up with this guy I got to go see. I got to watch this guy, Kim Cattrall or something. So I write it down. I promised her I would go look him up. Well, before the evening was over, somebody else came in who was a very rational person. And suddenly as we sang Happy Birthday, he joined me in singing Happy Birthday at the table. Well, as soon as we finished the Happy Birthday, I slipped away, and he sort of slipped right into the table there, and he was sort of real smooth talker and very glib and very friendly. And within seconds, the whole four of them were just all on the same page together. And I looked over after about 5 minutes, and they're holding hands. They got one hand on the other, and they're holding each other's hands. And there's this whole little psycho-Christian thing going on. Well, like I said, the woman recommended this Kim guy. So I go home after 2 days, and I said, all right, I'll look him up. So I look him up on YouTube. Well, this guy's got a full band on the stage. He's got 2 or 3 guitarists and a few horns, and he's got a keyboard in front of him, and he sort of dark clothes, and he is just full on rock and roll preaching. Rock and roll preaching. Now, I noticed in looking at the site that you could make donations, you could buy souvenirs, you could get so a lot of opportunities for you to send him money to keep the ministry going. And as I'm on this, I start to look at some of the comments from the people that are watching this show. And like I said, I told this woman I would watch it and I would take it seriously, which I did, Within 30 seconds, it was like turning on MSN. It was like turning on Fox News at night. When I turn on Fox News, even for a matter of seconds, if it's Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham or Hannity, honest to God, I feel like I'm watching the McCarthy hearings. I'm waiting for somebody to start holding up a blank piece of paper with the names of, the 50 communists who are going to take down the government on it. That's what it feels like watching Fox News, just the lies and the things they make up. Well, that's what it felt like with this guy. This guy felt like a slightly more musical, entertaining version of Fox News. But the comments, God doesn't lie. He said he will put him, meaning Trump, in office for 2 terms. President Trump inaugurated in January for the 2nd term that God promised. God promised he's going to get a 2nd term. And the gatekeepers for the White House are guarding the promise. He said, one cannot be a Bible-believing Christian and vote Democratic. The party of abortion that praises immorality, encourages gender confusion. These people who shut down churches must not gain the presidency. A Bible-believing Christian. Another one from Nanda. Believe in fake media. I know God is in control and Trump will be the best choice for our beautiful America. Today is a day to remember what God has been saying for years. Long before this election, he told us what he planned to do. These people are totally convinced that this guy sitting on a cloud with a white beard, definitely a white beard, and definitely sitting on a cloud. And if you have any disagreement with that, you're on the wrong page with these people. I can see that. It might seem late, but God is never late. God laughs and mocks at the plans of the enemy. Do not allow yourself to be deceived by the devil. My prayers go out to this great man God has given us. At one point, I was going down here, and they started to make these really almost hallucinatory references to the trumpets from the archangels in heaven blowing their trumpets. Trump-pence. They converted the word trumpet into Trump-pence. They meshed these two together. What can you say? And it is so inconceivable. One last one. Brenda, what if the she who will heal us is our new Justice, Amy Coney Barrett? Now, Amy Coney Barrett is part of a cult within Christianity, speaking in tongues. And I think I said this when I spoke originally and brought her name up a few weeks ago on one of the earlier shows. These people, you remember the Da Vinci Code, and you saw the guy whipping themselves with and then putting the chains on themselves so they could draw blood, so they could feel pain all day long. This is Opus Dei. Now, Opus Dei was a radical Christian group that started to gain prominence in the late 60s, early 70s. And there was one founder, and I don't know what kind of pressure this guy put on the hierarchy within the Catholic Church, but within the Catholic Church you have cardinals, bishops report to cardinals, the cardinals all get together and they elect the Pope. Well, the whole thing is just a male fantasy, but this guy, I think his name was Escobar, he gets dominion over his own group. He doesn't have to report to any cardinals or any other bishops. He reports directly to the Pope. Now, this was very weird. Now, these people, they used to have a building. They used to be connected to a building on, they had a building on Lexington Avenue, right down from the Summit Hotel. I think a block from the Summit Hotel on 53rd in Lexington, which is the back door to the Waldorf Astoria. They had a building there, an entire building in Manhattan. That's how poor they were. So they attracted a lot of wealthy people. There was a hierarchy within the organization, whereas the people at the low end didn't really know what was going on at the high end, much like the Masons and these other sort of semi-secret organizations. You wind up with the hierarchies at the top being very different from the ones at the bottom. They were very much opposed to Thomas Merton, who was the father of the church back in the 60s, and who was starting to read the writings of the Zen, Suzuki Roshi, and the Indian gurus, and a lot of the spiritual people from the East that were starting to emerge. Thomas Merton was starting to read them. He had a more of a universal view of the religion, where you didn't find something wrong with other religions. You found out what you had in common with other religions. And in most cases, the dictum to do good and avoid evil was your bottom line, not something that was written by somebody to throw stones at someone or to shoot somebody or something weird. Well, Opus Dei was able to find out all the little violent references within the Bible. They created their own little sort of theology, and they may have been responsible for Thomas Merton being summarily executed. He supposedly grabbed the wrong wire while he was in a shower in India, which he may have done. I know that they had been behind some other nefarious activity, and they didn't want him to go, and he winds up having a sudden accident. So I've always thought that Thomas Merton was executed by Opus Dei, who also may have been involved with the Pope a few years later, and that's another story, the Pope that was only here for 30 days. So within the Catholic Church, there are very, very, very nefarious groups, subgroups. Like with any organization, whether it's Buddhist or Hindu or Christian, the esoterias at one end are maintaining a spiritual discipline. And then you get what you allow the masses to absorb and you try to work with. And then you get the people under that who are trying to gain, in most cases, using the religion for power and money. So when they said about Amy Coney Bryant, she who will heal us, this woman could very easily be the end of a woman's right to choose, be the end of the Affordable Care Act. God knows what she's going to do about money situations here. She's a really dangerous person to have in a position of power like this. So my whole point here in getting into this thing was, where did this come from? How does he wind up being raised up into these godlike statuses? And the only thing I've run into was I ran into something a while back. There's some biblical story about somebody, some king back in the Old Testament times, who isn't a very good person, but he winds up doing good things. So in this case, it seems as if the moral imperative has been completely thrown out the window. And the imperative that the means justifies the ends is the dictum we're going to go with. So if he's going to stop abortions, if he's against abortion, well, we're behind the guy. Doesn't matter what he does. Doesn't matter what he calls women. Doesn't matter how he treats people. Doesn't matter his relationship to lying, cheating, stealing, none of that's important. The only thing that's important is what we're going to get out at the end of it. And obviously, God must have put him there because God operates with an ends justifies means kind of a mentality. Whew. Lunacy, lunacy, lunacy. I'll tell you, it's just, I don't get it, and I don't know where the answer is. And if you've got a good answer out there, and there aren't a lot of you out there, but if you know the answer, you can send it to me. Why you think the Christians have put this guy up as almost a savior, almost a savior. I'm going to close in a minute here. I just wanted to mention one little thing, and it's about the recovery we're in. I was a little confused last night. I heard somebody mention a V-shaped recovery and a K-shaped recovery. And a V-shaped recovery is where everybody, boom, so the economy's going here, it crashes, and boom, it goes up and everybody benefits. Well, that's not the place to do it, maybe. Well, a K. As you can see, a K, one line goes up and one line goes down. So in a K-shaped recovery, what happens is the stock-owning portion of the population, which is less than 1%, they wind up doing really well, which they are. The stock market is doing well. Why is the stock market doing well? Well, that's a whole other story. And the wage-earning people, the bottom 90%, who can't afford groceries, who are facing evictions, who are using their last dollars of savings to get themselves through the rent or the mortgage for next month. That's a K-shaped recovery. Most of the people aren't doing very well. A few people are doing really well. The in-between group are the 10%, or the 99 point, or the 9.9%, who are doing fairly well. They see that they could be in the top 1/10 of 1%. These are the bureaucrats and the functionaries and the yes people and the turtles that are walking alongside the very wealthy, hoping to get some of the crumbs from the table or actually get to the table themselves. So we've had a K-shaped recovery, and it's not looking too good, but they sell it on Fox News every day. And I'll make one other little brief mention about Fox News. Fox News and MSNBC are frequently put together in the same sentence, like, oh, MSNBC is the opposite of Fox News. MSNBC, CNN, everybody is the opposite of Fox. Fox News is here, MSNBC is here. They're almost the same thing. Well, this is a completely false equivalency. If you watch, which I'm sure most of you probably do, somebody say like Rachel Maddow, she'll do a story which might have been in the newspaper the day before. She'll do the story today. She'll lay out all the specifics of the story, and then she'll finish it by saying, well, we're going to introduce a guest now who's going to add some more light to this, and she'll have a guest who's an expert in the field, and then she'll ask them what they thought of her introduction. And in most cases, they will say, oh, you nailed it, you did a really good job. Every so often, they'll say, well, there's one thing you got wrong there, let me say this. In general, she lays out a story, she asks for verification, and I can sit down and I can look up the AP, I can look up the newspaper, I can look up various sources and find validification for the story. You go to Fox News, and these people are making up stuff. Now, I don't watch the afternoon portions because I'm not around then, but the night people, the Ingrams and the Hannitys and Carlson, I look at this guy, he looks like oh God, he's sort of like a zombie. His eyes are just in the back of his head half the time, and his pasty look, I get nervous just looking at him. And the stuff that's coming out of their mouth is the complete opposite of anything that's factual. Jon Stewart, when he was on for all of those years, practically made a career out of debunking Fox News. You would watch Jon Stewart at night, and he would always have some little segment about some stupid thing that they said or some completely incorrect thing that they said. MSNBC, you don't find that. You might find an opinion that's a little bit different than yours, but you don't find facts that are turned upside down on their head. And that's what you get on Fox News. The fact that Fox News is called Fox News is what it's not news. It is the fake news station. Fox News is the fake news station. And that's all they've got all night long. They make up stories. They've been doing it throughout the entire Obama presidency. They would make up stories about him taking trips around the world and spending huge amounts of money. And they were debunked. They were always debunked a month later, a week later, a day later, a minute later. It didn't matter. They repeated them and they repeated them and they repeated them, which is why we got 70 million people who think Trump is the victim of fake news stories, and he's the victim of this liberal, red, communist, left, abortionist, pedophile, Pizzagate, madness. We have been taken over with a sense of madness, and I don't know where it's all going. I really don't. I've always tried to be positive, and I talk to people that are sort of on the edge, and a couple of real heavy-duty positive people who may come and join us on the show here one afternoon. So I'm going to just leave you with a thought there that we really need to stay vigilant, and if we're going to save this democracy at all, the democracy itself wasn't exactly, in fact, before this year, if I were to sit down and put together a trip about democracy, we would have looked at what we have had prior to Trump as very shaky, as influenced by special interests have taken over, money has taken over. The democracy was corrupted before Trump came along. By him going after a corrupted system, he sort of appears to be the one who's not corrupted. Meanwhile, the rest of us are sitting here basically hoping to get back to our corrupted system so that we can maybe fix it or reform it. None of this makes any sense. It seems like the whole thing has to come down before it's going to come back together. Now, how does the whole thing come down before it comes back together? I don't know. Do we wind up with Biden as a president and we have a lame duck Senate where the 2 seats, I mean, what are the odds about the Democrats winning 2 seats in Georgia? I'll tell you, I'll get a flag out and I'll get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and jump out and dance in the street if that one happens. But I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. So who knows what's going to happen in January? At the least, Trump is relegated to secondary status, and somebody else has the bullhorn in the White House, and that's the best we can hope for as of right now. Peace, patience, persistence, and we'll see you when we get back on the page again.